everybody, this is the Wikstrand. So, did I think that this movie was hurt by the fact that this wasn't an R-rated movie? Yes, it was hurt a little bit. Did I think that this movie was hurt by the fact that, the top brass of DC decided after this movie was made that they're going to, pull the plug on the entirety of the DC universe, killing it stone dead? No, not that much. It isn't even hurt by the fact that, rumors and reports have come out after this movie was released that pretty much this was a, The Rock thing from the beginning. He wanted to make himself so important that, the DC universe was going to be, evolving around him and, putting himself into a situation where he was going to be the biggest star and, not anybody else. With that aside, my expectation of this movie was very, very low, and maybe because the fact is that I didn't have any expectations whatsoever when it came to this movie, helped this movie becoming, in my opinion, one of the better DC superhero movies that has been made during the past 10 years or so. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. It has a lot of problems. I'm going to point out lots of them, but there's also this feeling that, yeah, I like this movie. Maybe for all the wrong reasons, I don't know, but let's find out together what this movie is about, shall we? This is Black Adam. We are in a fictional country in which there was an evil king who ruled with an iron fist 5,000 years ago, and he had a plan that he was going to become even more evil using this magical crown thingy that was going to enable him to become an immortal godlike being or whatever. But the thing is that the crown was stolen from him by a champion that rose up from out of nowhere, who then hid the crown so that the evil king would never become this powerful. Now people are hunting for the crown in present day, and we actually begin this movie when they have sort of located it. It felt a bit like they skipped over basically the first act of the movie and just went straight into where they find the thing. And when they open this tomb, that also releases the champion that once stood up to the evil king, and that is of course Black Adam. It basically takes 10 minutes for Black Adam to appear in this movie in full gear and everything, and kills all of these evil soldier fortune type of people in slow motion to paint it like great, I love it. And he then sets himself up as a sort of a protector of this realm, and he is not your squeaky clean superhero. He's not even an anti-hero, he's more of an anti-villain, you could say. And the appearance of him makes Amanda Waller a bit irritated. But I wouldn't be surprised if Amanda Waller went for a swim one day, and then this baby dolphin came out of nowhere and smiled at her. That would also make her irritated, I think. So she sends a bunch of heroes we have never seen before: the Atom Smasher, the Hawkman, the Cyclone, and Dr. Fate, played by Pierce Brosnan, to add some star power to the whole thing. Will they be able to restore the balance of power, or will Black Adam become a de facto ruler of this land? And will he be a just ruler, or is his methods too unsound? They constantly butt heads with him of the fact that he uses deadly force while they are using harmful force or something like that. What a bunch of pussies. So anyway, that is sort of the movie in a nutshell. And I will say this, the script is technically not very good because, some of the lines they get to say and some of the stuff that's happening in this movie is utterly nonsense and complete caca. And this movie also features maybe the single worst villain that has ever shown up in a superhero movie, outside of this lady from the Marvels, which I think has taken over the throne as worst superhero villain ever, but that is a story for another time. And despite the fact that this feels a bit like an ego trip for Mr. Johnson, and the fact is that the movie has a weird structure to itself, I still like it. I was very entertained by this thing. I love the character of Black Adam. I love the fact that he was the squeaky clean hero. I should also point out that when it comes to the lore and the backstories of, you know, the Hawkman and the Atom Smasher and Dr. Fate and Black Adam and all of these things, I know absolutely nothing. I am a comic book virgin, you could say. I barely read anything that is comic book related. I do see a lot of comic book movies, but I don't see any of the TV shows. And I don't know if these characters have been introduced prior to this in, you know, some show that I haven't seen. But if they need you to watch TV shows or, you know, specials on the web to, you know, be caught up with the whole thing, then it doesn't, you know, sound like, you know, watching a movie anymore. It sounds like homework. So I don't know if this is a fair or a good representation of the characters, but I was surprisingly engaged in what was going to happen from a very early stage. I liked Hawkman, I liked Dr. Fate, I liked Cyclone, and I really, really liked Black Adam. You know, the quote-unquote civilian characters that, you know, Black Adam shacks up with and, you know, is supposed to represent, you know, the everyday human that, you know, interacts with these larger-than-life characters. They were very, very boring and didn't have any interesting parts to them whatsoever. I could have, you know, skipped them altogether. Now, this movie has a weird thing because it kind of wraps up around, you know, half an hour left of the movie, and I said to myself, I think you're done now, guys. I think you've done all that there is that can be done. Are we going home already? And then they said, nah, let's do some more shit. And then they did some more shit, and somehow that also worked. I don't know why this worked. Sometimes I watch movies where, you know, they do everything right and I still don't like the movies. And there are movies that probably does a lot of things bad, but I still sort of forgives them for it for some reason. It's not that I like, you know, The Rock that much. I'm not a huge The Rock fan. He's okay and he always plays, you know, the same character, but it is always a, you know, entertaining character he plays, and he brings this weird star power to every movie that he is a part of that, you know, is something that you cannot teach. He has a weird charisma and he has a way of, you know, expressing himself that is very unique, and I like him, but there are as many, you know, The Rock movies that I think is lame compared to, you know, how many movies that are actually cool, awesome and badass. And I think this one is really good. And I can understand if people hate this movie. I can understand that people thought that this was disrespectful to the DC universe, or that this was lame, or this was bad, or this was a very cliched movie, which it sort of kind of is. I can understand it, and I can understand that I'm probably in the minority when it comes to my opinion about this movie, because apparently most people doesn't like this movie, and I understand why, but I liked it. And I think that if you are into, you know, the DC movies, I think you will find this movie to be quite good, actually. Or maybe I'm totally wrong, but for me, this worked. A little side note, I am very grateful that we are living in a time where we can have a superhero movie where Hawkman and Dr. Fate and all of these characters can wear these lavish, outlandish outfits, and we don't laugh them out of the building. If this movie would have come out like 20 years ago or something like that, they would have been laughed out of the building if they put on something like that. They would have, you know, said that this was a Batman and Robin or, you know, something like that. But now we get to see it. Now we get to see it in all its glory, and it looked fabulous in my opinion. I really liked the visual storytelling, I really liked the soundtrack, and I thought that, as I said, the pace was great and I was constantly entertained. Maybe this is a movie that you will forget instantly once you've seen it, and if you know, a lot of stuff about the Black Adam lore, I'm sure that you have lots of complaints, but for me, this worked. By the way, they also have a twist in the movie that I absolutely did not see come. But on the other hand, I'm a dum-dum who never sees any twist whatsoever come, ever. So that shouldn't be much of a shocker. But somehow, I really like this movie and I do recommend it. And I do recognize that they have a lot of flaws and problems. But compared to the doldrum and the boring movies that Zack Snyder has trotted out, and bad movies such as Wonder Woman 1984 and stuff like that. I thought this was really, really good. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Far from being one of the greatest of the DC superhero movies, I still give Black Adams a good 70 points. I think this was a simple, very entertaining movie with a great soundtrack, cool entertaining characters, good action, and in the end I thought this movie was just a very entertaining and simple story that made me at least quite happy. So I'll see you next time for, well, so-and-so reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.